welcome back to another Euro Jags cast. This week, as you can see, Donners is back with us. Alan Fraser's working and also his family birthday. And we're also joined by the Head of Media and Communications, Partick Thistle, and Football Know-It-All, we hope. Brian Welsh, a.k.a. Welshie at Helensburgh Wanderer on Twitter. Welcome back, mate. It's good to have you. We only got a brief chat the last time with the gaffer, so good to have you on for the preview of the Euros, which of course started last night. We're also going to talk about Scotland, and we're also going to talk about Thistle. But go back.
Welshie, as a football know-all, do you know the formation that the North Macedonia team are going to play and what the threats are? That worked well, didn't it? You froze right at the point.
What? It's a great answer there that you missed. Right, hopefully the signal holds up. I don't know anything about North Macedonia. What I do know is it is one of Ali McCoy's games on ITV, so you can look forward to some real nuggets on the history of North Macedonia, just like he did in the Russia World Cup, which was phenomenal.
I've actually seen the ITV lineup. Trust me, there's a few nuggets on it.
It's true. It's true.
I think Ali McCoy is must watch TV, isn't he? He's got a drinking story for every single country he commentates on.
Absolutely. Look, and most of all, when you listen to him at a game, he wants to be there. He enjoys it. He's a football fan, really, so he kind of talks like us. So I think that's what's refreshing about it, going on a tangent.
One thing I can tell you about North Macedonia, they've got a fantastic midfield. I think he's more an attacking midfielder. Elfio Elmas, I think it is, he plays with Napoli.
I think he might have been mentioned on the Terrace show last night. I did not come prepared for this very, very tough line of questioning from that. You've set your stall out.
By the way, that's as good as it gets. Obviously, last night, Turkey and Italy opened the tournament. First half, I thought Italy were they've got pace up front. You can see that, they're solid at the back, but I didn't think they had any creativity, and I thought they just passed the ball very, very slowly. It was always back the way. But my God, what a different second half. They looked a totally different team.
Aye. I was expecting a wee bit more from Turkey, to be honest. It's always very difficult how you judge these first games, but Italy will be delighted, and 3-0 a cracking score. Like I'm not convinced they've got going all the way material, but it's such a wide open tournament, then anything can happen.
Well, certainly it's quite an impressive result for a team who didn't qualify for the last World Cup, if you remember. A lot of change in their side as well. So
they've got in a hell of an unbeaten run, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're playing at home as well, and I think Turkey's quite a young team, aren't they? So I was surprised they knocked in 3, to be fair. I kind of had a 1 or 2 nothing, but that's a good start. I think if you were a Wales fan, I think you'd be worried when you seen that last night. You think, you know what, we're playing in Baku, right next to Turkey. That's going to be quite a tough game for them. I think they play the Swiss as well, don't they? And the Italians, you can see them really struggling.
Aye. Well, every time a goal goes in, I've got a wee Euros challenge I'm doing. So the day after every set of games, I'm going to try and either cycle or run or walk the number of miles of the goal scored the day before. So every time a goal goes in, I'm like that. So today was easy, 3 miles on the bike down to the shops. But once we get into the 3 game days, we'll see what happens.
You're looking for a lot of nothing each, then, aye?
the only guy celebrating an 0-0.
So what happens about the 4 game days as well, Brian? Do you know,
imagine they're all 3 each. It's a nightmare. It's to be fair, it's the last month or so not been the healthiest, so it's just something to give me a wee kickstart.
The extra time and penalties count.
Penalties. Right, you need to edit that bit out.
You know something? We just hope it's not the Europa League final kind of penalty shootout, or Brian's going to run all the way to Wembley.
Oh, class.
Well, of course, on Monday we start our campaign. We've waited 23 years to get back to a major tournament. I would argue, probably 2 generations. I know it depends what you look at. I always think of a generation being sort of 10 years, 12 years. So there's almost 2 generations of really missed out on seeing Scotland at a major tournament. And obviously the build-up with a lot of hype about it, and that will continue over the next 24, 36 hours. And I've kind of found myself getting swept along with it up until about Thursday. And suddenly, I think it's an age thing. It kicked in that everybody's actually thinking we could do something in this tournament. I have been here since 1974 thinking the exact same thing, and I'm really now at the point where I'm starting to turn from being so optimistic and telling all my friends over here in Lanzarote what we're going to do to going a wee bit quiet and thinking this could really go tits up, couldn't it?
But you're right, David, but I think that's just the Scottish thing in here. That's probably a bit of Thistle as well. You're the same kind of level, I think. But I don't know, did you watch the BBC documentary the other night, the Mr. Brown's Boys? It was the 98. Aye. See, the one thing that struck me, and I thought we were actually relatively good in those first couple of games. Our team was bang average, wasn't it? Like Darren Jackson and Kevin Gallagher, and there was players in that team, Billy McKinley. They were good players, right? I'm not knocking them, but you compare it to now, we've got some real talent, really impacting big clubs in English football and obviously up here as well. So I think we've got a better squad now than we've ever had before. I think somebody like Billy Gilmore, he's like a transcending talent. You don't get many players like that. They maybe come too young for him. Although they said about that Ronaldo in 2004 in Portugal, didn't they? But, you just think we have players there that can really change games now.
Aye, I think going back to them and before we talk about the team's chances, I think the beauty of this build-up is all the youngsters have never enjoyed and experienced this before, and it's just amazing to see them enjoy it and get so swept away. And it reminds you of what you were like at that age. So that's just a brilliant thing. And secondly, for us, it's our first tournament in the kind of digital age. So, 23 years ago, we might have had a documentary in the BBC, we did the newspapers, the radio. Now we've got 24/7 content, and the last week has been just phenomenal. And you can't help but get swept away. And the only reason it's so good to get swept away is you've actually got some belief in this squad that, yes, we've got a cracking chance, because if they do themselves justice, I think I saw something during the week about the analysts saying that we've got a 57% chance of getting out the group, and that's based on all sorts of previous results and the fact we're playing at Hampden. And we've not that much chance in many tournaments, or certainly, maybe the most recent ones. So it's a beautiful thing just to be part of the build-up with my son's just loving it, and we're lucky enough we've got tickets for the game on Monday, so we're really looking forward to that. And then the fact we've got, as you say, a midfield where Gilmore isn't going to be a first starter. He might get in, but probably not for the first game. Bloody hell, what an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
Hold on a wee second. So you're keeping a young child off school for a football match? Like, somebody phone the police, get that ticket off him.
I'm taking him on an educational trip.
I suppose it is cultural, isn't it?
Well, he's 17 the next day, actually, so it's sort of a birthday present as well. So he's probably more mature than me.
Well, the talk about the embarrassment of Richie's, the goalkeeper, obviously with the goalkeeper, watching the two friendlies last week, Marshall or Gordon, I don't think there's anything between them, to be honest with you. The interesting thing for me will be there was a huge clamour about Nathan Patterson coming in, and I actually said in Twitter last week, I don't understand the clamour for Nathan Patterson, because defensively he's not as good as Stephen O'Donnell, and I think we're probably going to need more defensive minded, given the fact Kieran Tierney's liable to bomb past Andy Robertson at times, for your left centre back and stuff. But I would love to see, I agree with you, Welsh, I don't think Gilmore will start, but I would love to see that midfield with McTominay, Gilmore and McGinn starting, because the energy and the drive in that, for those three, and not just that, the passing ability to allow maybe Dykes, Adams, or Nisbet, whichever, ones play up front, and with Robertson and on the left-hand side. I think it could be phenomenal. But you've got to admit, Croatia are still a good side. I know they're an Asian side. I know Modric is still a world-class player. There's no doubt about that, and he pulls the strings for Croatia. England do have a good squad, whether we like to say that or not. They have got a real good young squad. And the Czechs, they're kind of going through a wee bit of a transition period, but there'll be no... I know folk are saying, well, they haven't beaten us in 5 games and all this, and Croatia have never beaten us, but you're no mugs when you get to a tournament like this either.
Raymond, a few things like the goalkeepers. It's not like a choice between Leighton and Gorham, is it? I mean, they were 2 world-class goalies at the time. You know, it's 2 dependable hands. Personally, I'd like Gordon in there because I think he's got that thing for just a world-class save. You know, but Marshall's a bit of an icon now, so you can't deny it. I don't get the Nathan Patterson thing. Personally, I think that's a media hype. He's played 6 games for Rangers. 6 games. Yeah. You're going to have him against, I don't know, for instance, Rashford. Seriously, that to me, that doesn't compute, you know. And you know, watching football for years, games are won and lost in little moments. If you've got a guy that's not got experience playing at the top level, you know, playing at any level, let alone the top level, I get his potential. It's nice to have him involved. Stephen O'Donnell's a safe pair of hands, you know. You won't lose a game because of Stephen O'Donnell.
There's got to be loyalty plays a factor in continuity, and Clark's definitely got that mindset that he's brought play, and that's why the squad's got such a strong team spirit, because they've come on this journey together. So I don't see anything except Marshall starting. I think that if both Patterson and Gilmore and maybe Turnbull as well had been in a camp earlier, you know, a set of games earlier, they'd just have that bit more of a chance of starting because they might have made an impression, had an opportunity. The cameo against Luxembourg's not quite enough to justify dropping Callum McGregor, who's not really done much wrong. I suppose the other thing you might be able to do is play Gilmore, McTominay and McGregor, and then push McGinn forward off Adams. If you play, rather than playing Adams and Dyche, because McGinn is so good for Scotland, but that's probably 3 light, you know, 3 similar midfielders in that middle role that's one too many. So I think he'll probably start with Adams and Dykes. I think Adams is a bit of a game changer for us because he's given us something. Big Dykes has been brilliant through qualifying, but Adams has just got something extra. And that, you know, to think that when Steve Clark came into the squad, we didn't have either of them, and now we've got both, and it just gives us such, you know, so many different options, because you can go long if you're in a bit of trouble, but they're both good footballers, especially Adams' footwork's just, you know, really exciting.
Are you guys surprised that no one talks about Stuart Armstrong in terms of that midfield? Because he's a natural linchpin between it all. I mean, you've seen, I know it was against Luxembourg, but no, against Holland, sorry. You forget what a player he is. And he was an excellent season last year. You know, and I kind of feel as if having him in the 3, and Welsh, I think you're right, McGinn fit up top. You know that Clark loves Christie, playing him in behind. We haven't had much chat about him as well.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. The good thing is we've got so many options. I think that's the exciting thing, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right to mention Armstrong. I think Clark's a big fan. I think he's probably more likely starting than Gilmore, to be honest, to fit into the system. But what a bunch of options. And if this is all based on us continuing with the 5 at the back, which is more than likely through the 3 games. But if we went in the last game and, you know, you need to do something different, even if it's second half, last half an hour, you've got Fraser and Forrest. One of Scotland's best performances in the last 5 years was away at Albania when I think they were down to 10 men for much of the game, but we had Fraser and Forrest out wide. Yeah. Two pacey players, and I love that kind of football. But the 5-3-2s or 3-5-2s work for us, and I think probably the biggest question mark is actually that sweeper and right centre half and who you're slotting in there. That's the one bit where I'm not sure anyone's quite figured out what the best permutation is. I think Declan Gallagher would have been nailed on after the Serbia game, but he's not played so much football. So Liam Cooper comes into it. Grant Hanley's not really that popular, but I wouldn't say he's let us down too many times. And then obviously we can talk.
Wonderful season, hasn't he?
Exactly.
Captain, look great.
And then from a selfish point of view, we'd love to see Jack Hendry in there, because I think we're so well off for left-sided players. Playing them all the way across the back 5 can give you a wee bit of an imbalance. So I think having the right-sided defender, that's why McTominay works so well. World class. Jack Hendry in there I'd be quite comfortable with. And again, he's in a brilliant season as well.
I think Jack Henry.
Lots to chew over there.
Definitely, Jack Henry to me looks as if the favourite to start there, because Clark likes a ball playing centre half, doesn't he? Sitting in there, and that's why he played McTominay, because he wanted him to start the play. And God, we know how that's Jack's game, you know. And I thought Jack against the Dutch, except for a couple of silly fouls near the end, I thought he looked fantastic. I thought he looked aggressive. He looked quick, and he's 6'6". He's very imposing as well. So I would actually be surprised if Jack Henry didn't start. You know, Tierney's a shoe on, and it's really who's going to make up the other one in there.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into the bookies and get a fiver on Harry Kane being called a space cadet during the tournament. That's what we want to see.
I think you're right. About Jack Henry, both of you. I think it does for the balance of the team, and the fact he can bring the ball out of defence, and he does have that bit of pace. That if a ball's played in behind, over the top, we find
against Holland, didn't he?
Yeah. So I think Jack probably. I think Hanley will play, because we talked about Clark having loyalty to players. So I think Hanley starts, and he has had a great season. And just like you know, Tierney's done absolute shoe in. You know, he's the one guy, you know, to come out. Like we said, the midfield's just pick any ones, you know, out of that, and you still get a crank midfield. It's a long time since we were able to say that, you know. And Adams up front, his pace, you know, the running the channels, too pretty as well. Right,
I love it. I love it. Going back to Tierney, there was always that narrative of Tierney and Robertson can't play together, and now it's just completely flipped, and you're seeing that kind of new thing that a bombing forward left centre half who gets covered by his left back can just tuck in. And Tierney's runs are maybe even more dangerous than Robertson's, although Robertson obviously set up Kevin's goal.
Yeah.
Two of them just look like they're completely clicked in the system, and credit to the coach for sticking.
Yeah, for sticking with it. Yeah.
See this bloody internet.
What about what thoughts on the other teams in the group? You know, we've briefly mentioned them. I mean, who's everybody's saying England are favourites, but I still think this Croatian team are dangerous. I really do, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think best results. You know, for example, in tomorrow's game and Monday, our game on Monday, you'd actually want Croatia to beat England. Well, we always want England to get beat, but Croatia to beat England tomorrow or on Sunday, and Scotland to win, and end up with Croatia not really needing anything in the last game.
I think you're missing something. If Croatia beat England, and we beat the Czechs, and we go down and pump them out the tournament at Wembley, that would be ideal, wouldn't it? That's your kind of listen, I'm a big believer in intangibles, right? I think that's something that's overlooked. Like for instance, right? Let's take John McGinn, right? He plays for Aston Villa, primarily English players in the team. Jack Grealish. You can just imagine what that's like, all that chat and training and blah, blah, blah. And he'll just be thinking, I've got one chance and I'm going to shut you right up, right, and play tight to you. And I think that actually, you know, that siege mentality it creates just gives you a lift, you know. I wonder, in the other side of things, that we play the Czechs. And if you remember that the Glenn Kamara racist incident, and that boy has been suspended for the tournament, you know, I heard some Czechs, you know, talking about that, you know, in a negative way. How does that inspire them? Does that get them come to Glasgow and say, here's a chance now to go and shove it up the Scots after that? You know, I always look for these little storylines, because the English squad is frightening. Talent-wise, it's off a chart, but it always is. They never do anything, do they? You know? So.
Aye. I fancy our chances of Adams and Dykes causing them problems at the back. I think in midfield, we go toe-to-toe with them. Like, our players match up to theirs. It's how much, I mean, they're obviously their pace up front and the options they've got up front are pretty scary. So that's where we'll need to have a pretty good game at the back. But, you know, anything could happen in those guys. I just see it as a kind of English Premier League game where they're slight favourites, but most of the talent on show are familiar with each other, and we play our capability. We've got a cracking chance down there.
Yeah,
you'd love it if they played Sterling and played Henderson and players, and maybe Maguire, players that are out of form and they're in there for their name and their stature. I'd love it. I'd fancy our chances against some of them. Some of these young boys, like your Fodens and Rashfords and stuff like that, they're quite scary propositions, aren't they?
I think it's quite a lot of their players have never played in a tournament. A lot of them have never played Scotland, so it's a new thing. And there's absolutely, I think, clearly the first game is key. The Czechs will be feeling that as well. If we manage to get a good result on Monday, go down there with a little bit of, not pressure off, but freedom to really have a go at it. I think, and then looking at the group, the permutations are mad because you're better off finishing second.
Yeah,
first.
Aye. I mean that should to finish first and you get France, Germany or Portugal, and then I mean that's.
Remember, if you finish third, you potentially get Ireland in the round of 16.
That's right.
Not a shoe-in, but you would take that. And I think you play the winner of the Spain group. You look at that group, you think, all right, Poland they're good sides, but by the way, can I ask, why have Spain not got any Real Madrid players in the squad? I seen somebody saying it was a message about the Super League because Real Madrid were driving that. Because you look at the players in that Real Madrid team, they'd walk out of the national team.
I don't know.
It's a weird one. Really weird.
I know. I mean, Ramos would obviously have played, but he's been injured all season. So that was the reason he's not gone. Is
somewhere in Spain there's a podcast take place, and they're saying, "Why is there no Partick Thistle players in the Scotland squad?"
Pretty well, she.
Yeah, that's true.
I was claiming 3.
The clamour for Stevie Bell would be perfect for that team, by the way. That's exactly the type of player they need.
So you dropped Tierney then, aye?
He's just not doing it for me.
What's your thoughts on Monday's game then?
I'm worried about it. I just think everyone's put this is a big tick. This is 3 points. No play well. You remember we went and played them when they had 50 players out with coronavirus, right? And they still nearly beat us. I think we won that game, but they were a better team. I think that this is a worry. The Scottish Conference. I'd take a point, to be honest.
I'll go for a very, very nervy 1-0 home win.
1-0. I think
even saying that out loud is scary.
I'm just going to make a note of that because I'm going to be asking for predictions later on anyway. Donners, you going for a draw?
No, I'm predicting we win, but I would take a draw. I'm just really, really nervous about this one. I'm more confident about the England game on the Friday night. I think there's a better match-up, and I think there's an English arrogance that Scottish players want to go down there and smash. Listen, Steve Clarke to me is the X factor here. We spoke about this before. You remember when Kilmarnock, when he joined Kilmarnock, and he got announced this Saturday lunchtime when they played us, and they were bottom of the league, right? And about a year later, they finished second or third, and now he's left them and they're relegated. That guy is a bona fide genius. What he can do, and I think like the sum of the parts.
Good for him next.
He's multiplying the sum of the parts here, so. We were talking about individual players. I think when you look at a guy like that, Charles, and the way he integrates things together, I can see us doing really well in this tournament. I predict us to get the group game, and that's for sure.
He's made us all fall in love with John Carver. I mean, is there anything they can't do?
Do you know the one big disappointment for me of the. Since the squad's been announced, and I think it's been more this week. Obviously, the yes sir, I can boogie. It's not the same without Andy Considine, is it?
I know.
You can just take him along just for that.
Well, he's looking at travel, has he?
It's been absolutely hammered that tune, hasn't it? Those girls must just be sitting back with the cigars out. Amazing.
Of course, there's been that many new stuff. I think is it the La Fontaine's ones? been pretty big as well. But there seems to be one new one every day coming out in social media.
It's listen, it's been great. Although, where's the official song? We're missing a "Don't Go Home Too Soon" kind of thing, aren't we? We stopped doing official songs.
That was funny. When that came on, that documentary, you were just reminded, what were they thinking, man? I actually like it. It's a cracking tune, but it's as Justin Curry said, it's a love song. It's not a we're about to go and do some damage in this tournament song.
But listen, let's be fair. It's not the only own goal the SFA have done over the years. I was reading an article in Nutmeg magazine during the week, and it was about the 1992 European Championships. Now it was only 8. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Good article about Thistle on it. Get a plug for that one. But do you remember? Actually, Stuart McKinney wore the number 9. Now, I never understood that until that article. It said they actually awarded the numbers based on the amount of caps you had for your country.
Right.
I mean, what the hell was that?
Mental. I can't. A spokesman for me cannot comment on any SFA boobs. Thank you.
That's right. Well, in fact, I was actually just going to talk about this week. About the statement, obviously, on Thursday, and then Steve Clark and Andy Robertson's statement yesterday, which I thought was very, very classy and clever in the way it was worded in particular. For me, I'd have been mortified if we hadn't gone down and, hadn't taken the knee at Wembley. You're just thinking to yourself, this is a massive, massive own goal. When the English are doing it, their fans are booing it. Anyway, I just felt it wouldn't send out the right message. And given the fact that these are their teammates as well, I'm really glad that they have said that they will take the knee. I think it's the right thing to do, given the circumstances surrounding that game as it is, plus, this on top of it as well.
Where's the leadership from UEFA on this one, though, Raymond? Right, we've seen the adverts about, red card for racism, but that this is a serious matter, and you're not hearing anything, and sadly, when it comes the governing body in the game, FIFA, they posted missing here, and it's really bad, and God, it's just it's a poor show. I heard people last night saying, "Oh, well, what are we doing? Are we just doing what the opposition want to do? So what happens if we play Wales in the last 16 or something, and they want to stand? Do we stand?" Personally, I think it's like, I think it's about 22 people on a pitch coming together and showing the same message, and saying to these racists, "Listen, get it up, you. This is ridiculous." The booing of these English fans it's nothing short of embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that's nail hitting head is the inconsistency. Now, if you're seen to do something different, because the Scotland play, I feel sorry for the Scotland players because they come out early in the week. They're clearly, very, very passionately, against this issue. They chose to do the thing they chose to do. What really made it stand out was it was going to be different from what the England players were going to do, and it's all about perception, and that optics word keeps getting thrown up. So it wasn't going to be a good look. But as Andrew says, if there was a consistent message from the top about here's what the campaign is, here's what we expect of you, and everyone did the same thing. Clearly, everyone's got their views on how impactful taking the knee is anymore, but it shouldn't. I feel sorry that the players are the one who get kind of, pushed out and have to kind of, solve this for them, whereas it should be that the footballers, they're there to play football.
Yeah, and after all,
so I did feel a wee bit sorry for them, but as you said, the statement at the end of it was classy. What will now happen at Wembley will be a very, very powerful message, and that's a good thing. But it could be easier for the players. I think made easier for the players to deliver that message.
Well, you're bang on, because as the players, you do feel sorry for them because it's them they're the guys that have been racially abused. So they're the ones that are having to do something. You can remember it for how, the teams who line up front of the Jackie Husband stand and red cards would come out. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it was solidarity, it was structured, it was from the top, there's a message. If UEFA did that for every game, would that be wrong? No,
No,
I remember.
no.
I don't know. I can
Tell you
see
one of them. One of the most beautiful things I ever heard at Firhill, right, was it was a game. I think Abdul Osman was playing, and there was a kid behind me, and he said, "Oh, I now know how to figure out who Abdul Osman is." And his dad said something like, "What?" He went, "He's the one with the pink boots on." And it was just a beautiful moment. He was just he just sees him as a footballer, and the pink boots are what makes him stand out. It was just a lovely message. So sometimes when you hear it from the kids, they just make it all so simple again, don't they?
Thank goodness he never said he was wearing a hat on the pitch or something. That's...
No, I think that's a good thing. You know, the kids kind of, sometimes kids can just simplify everything, you know, much better, you know, than adults. And what's been great is all the schools now, pretty much all the schools in Scotland now, going to allow all the kids to watch Monday's game, which I think is a fantastic thing. And I think it keeps kids interested in football in particular, you know, for you know.
Yeah, definitely. I feel sorry for, I think it was Miss Crombie, the teacher who's got written to by the pupil, and the letter was all over Twitter. She must have been sitting there at night thinking, why me? Why?
I don't know about you, I was surprised at this. I mean, I've got 3 kids in 2 in primary school, 1 in secondary school, and I was surprised that there wasn't more from the Scottish Government about this, because, you know, it was a shame. It fell in some teachers' laps. You know, if you remember 4 years ago, they made it a public holiday in Wales when I know we've got coronavirus, but you could have done something a bit more, you know, it made it a bit more exciting, a bit more fun. I'm scared about this. I think it's going to miss the game on Monday, you know.
Kids have been off school for like 90% of the year, and then the one day there's actually something for them to do at home and watch a game with their family, they have to go in. It'd been good. They could have called it a half day or something and let everyone go home and watch it with their families, but who knows?
Yeah, as I say, at least they're getting to see it. I think that's the big thing, as I say, to keep kids in touch, you know, for future generations, for, you know, for boys club football, amateur football at any level, you know, watching this may, you know, inspire, you know, it might be the next Billy Gilmer, Nathan Patterson, Kieran Tierney, Andy Robertson somewhere, you know, sitting in a classroom watching that, going, oh, I want to be part of that, you know, and that's what we need, you know, coming through, you know, for the future.
Yeah.
You've had a busy week coming away from Scotland and the Euros. We'll come back to the Euros. I'm going to get some predictions off you later on. So, busy week again. Welsh, yeah.
Cool. It's been a busy few weeks. Just with just that period when everyone thinks at the end of the football season it'll get quiet, but you know there's so much to be done. Season ticket launches and obviously loads and loads of kind of player announcements and stuff. So it's been busy, but it's been good. And fair play to the manager. He's really, you know, put a lot behind it personally and got involved and done things we've asked him to do. But like the season ticket drive's gone really, I think, to the point yesterday we're now past the number of sales for last season. We're still 4 weeks out from kicking a ball, you know, so there's plenty of time to get towards that 2,000 figure, which I think we're all trying to reach.
Yeah, that's great news, because I was going to ask how the season ticket sales are going, but that's brilliant to hear that we're just about past seasons. That's a terrific effort.
I think we're around about the 1,300 mark.
100. Great effort for the club, but also from the fans as well. It's terrific, the response, and as you say, still 4 weeks to still get a chance to get your season tickets in. I would imagine the gaffer will bring more people in just to keep Welsh on his toes, obviously. You got to say, we were talking with Big Freddie last week, and he was in stitches about the Scott Tiffany video. Whose idea was that?
I knew you were going to ask that. I've got to say, I'm a big believer in team, and I'm just going to say it was a media team. So when I'll tell you offline, but no, I think when something comes off, I think everyone plays a part in that, and when we get something wrong, we all kind of stand up together. So it was definitely a team effort, and just the response was just unbelievable.
It was.
What
it really was. It's frightening.
If you're not said to the gaffer, it'd have been 10 million hits if he actually sang it. No.
I think that I mean, the bit I can sort of tell you about is the moment I'd done my interview with him, but I think that was the day we had Banzo and Tiff in to get their awards. There was a lot going on, so I banked my interview with him on that early, and at that point I forgot to say this because we might use it. And then he came up to the office about half an hour later, and I just thought, right, stand there, say this, Craig, get your camera, record it. And I said, just make sure the background doesn't have anything in it that compromises such as your signing target list. But it was literally done on the spot. I said, just look happy. And then unprompted, he went like, well, I put a scarf on. And I went, aye. And then unprompted, he also said, your beauty was not scripted. So he threw that in, and we did it. We just did it once, and he was away 5 seconds later. And I think that was the beauty of it. It was so authentic. I think if you'd aligned players up and got them singing it, it would have looked staged. I think it just looked, as the Independent online said, it looked like a fan because they quoted him as being a fan. But it was just, it happened like that. And then the minute we saw it pieced together, we thought, wow, that's amazing. It just one of these things. It was such, I mean, clearly the songs for Tiffany, both, I think You're Alone Now and Breakfast at Tiffany's, everyone had them in their heads for months and months and months. It was that was sitting there to be used at some point, and it just happened to be the perfect time to do it. And then the rest, as they say, is 1 million views of history.
I know, incredible, absolutely incredible. I think the last time I remember Thistle having a response like this was Kingsley, the mascot.
Aye.
And it was,
Kingsley, Connor, Salmon's Pizza, and Scott Tiffany signing. That's probably three of the big ones.
But do you know what I've loved about this is, obviously, I mean, Ian came up with the 2000 mark of the 1998 amount of tickets. I don't know if that was just if that was a budget, if that was a figure he pulled out, but you seem to have actually got behind this and marketed it. It wasn't just a statement like, oh, we're going to win a league and then we'll look later on to see how it's been. It's as if there's been all these little things to drive it, which has been great.
Yeah, I think most of the time you would launch a season ticket campaign with like a hype video and aerial shots of the stadium and stuff, and I think we were just so busy doing so many things, that wasn't a priority, and Craig was obviously doing his documentary, which is out for sale last night. But I think secondly, we didn't feel that wasn't going to be the thing that persuaded a Thistle fan to part with his money. The thing that was going to persuade a Thistle fan was hearing what the manager was thinking about next season, how committed he was, how he wanted to bring in players to excite us, and how important it was that the fans came with us. And he looked at what we sold in the last few seasons, and I just thought, look, I think he probably was thinking higher than 2,000. And if we get past 2,000, we're going to keep going. But the 2,000 is a big step up on last season. You're talking about a 50% rise. And secondly, it means that if, fingers crossed, in July or August, we're at level 0 or whatever, and we can get 2,000 people in the stadium around 3 sides, you've got 2,000 season ticket holders who've got that first option. And can you imagine 3 sides of our hill full to the capacity we're allowed with Thistle fans for our first home games? It will be pretty emotional for all those people who will be there, but also be a brilliant atmosphere and a real help to everyone at the club, but especially the players. Yeah. So I think that we almost fell into it a wee bit, but the manager being the focal point for the campaign just became the obvious thing to do, and he's obviously given it plenty.
Oh, he's been a busy man. He's been everywhere, hasn't he? I didn't even see him on open goal the other day.
I know. I think that reluctant is the right word to use for that kind of thing. But it was part of the award sponsor, Glenn's Vodka. That's part of their kind of activation rights. So it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be James McPake, the gaffer, and Ray McKinnon. But Ray McKinnon was no longer in post, so it just ended up with two of them. I think, nice bit of content, but I think they'd maybe get more out of them if they'd interviewed them on his own and just had that one-to-one, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he has been busy.
And is he going to keep you on your toes this week after Monday again? Anything you want to share with us or potentially share?
I don't know about next week. I think he's clearly working on a number of things. I think now he wanted to get the bulk of it done early, which he's managed to do. You've now got that kind of cagey period where you commit to something now or you can one in later in the summer that you might not be able to get now. So he's on it all the time, and he's got good options. So I don't know if there'll be anything next week. I mean, Monday's effectively a shutdown day. Tuesday, we've got fixtures coming out. The boys start to come back in for testing and training next week. So I don't know. He may well surprise us, but we don't normally get too much notice.
I can imagine.
Something, he's the best man for it, isn't he? He's always been well liked by players. You can see why. If he wasn't a football manager, he'd be a fantastic recruitment agent, wouldn't he? He's good at that. I can see this is his area. He's on the phone. You can imagine him texting and phoning and doing this and that. He's great at it.
You got a sense of that when speaking to Stephen yesterday, that a big part of him, obviously he's played under him 3 times now, but kind of the fact you're going to play under him, it makes it an easy decision. And I've heard that from a number of players that's a real big factor in them coming to play for us. So long may that continue in a good place.
What's also been good has been the weekly updates from the manager as well, and obviously being free to air for everybody. And I think that's been brilliant, and I think that's probably a good thing to help with the season ticket sales as well. Yeah,
I think we need to try and give people who subscribe to Jags Zone a bit of value. So putting the longer form new signing interview there gives them a bit of explicitly at the moment. Get the manager speaking regularly because it's transparent and the fans like it and it's not hard to do. And secondly, put it up on YouTube so everyone can access that. And he's been great. And just try and ask him the odd question that you might not. I think we're in this sweet period up until really the players come back and you start playing friendlies. Like you've almost got a bit of a blank canvas we've just won the league. There's no games. We're not losing or drawing or winning. So you can do almost anything. So asking him things about, the Euros yesterday just to get a bit of a different flavour. And he's been in good form. So we've kept that going. I think it'll ease down a little bit as we get back into football and the signings come back. But it's been great to see that, fans have enjoyed that.
Of course, we get the pre-season friendlies. One came out yesterday. Kelty announced one. That was news to you guys as well. God, didn't think it was coming out that early.
I know. It'd be helpful if everyone was always coordinated, but it's not always possible. The Joe Cardo Invitational is on.
Alan Higginbotham as well.
That's right. We've got. I think they've got 2 or 3 confirmed, and a couple more to pen in rather than pencil in. So I'm sure at some point next week there'll be an announcement of it. It's difficult because we just don't know who'll be allowed at which games and stuff. But ideally, we can get to see a few of them, and for all friendlies are a bit of a. At least I think will be championing at the bit to see some of the new players, like obviously Kyle and stuff, and see them in action for the first time. So
that's it. And the players are back during the week. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that?
I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday's day 1 back. So good luck to them. Look, they're all. We've not seen many come in apart from the new signings. 1 or 2 have been in now and again. Just, but they're all buzzing. You can still sense that nothing's been diluted since April, May. They're glad to be back in that league, and I think that everyone's looking at the people that have come in, thinking that enhances what we've got. That's talking about Scotland's midfield problems. You've got a Thistle midfield dilemma of combinations and formations. So great place to be, and everyone's just looking forward to to obviously July, August.
And you know, it's always a great time to be a Scotland fan, but we've experienced this back since April time, isn't it? It's the end of March when we came back playing again, so it's been a bit of an Indian summer for us football fans.
Not half. I think we deposited plenty in that bank for a long time of pain and all the stuff that everyone went through, and then there was just this withdrawal of it all in a short space of time. April was just unbelievable, and then to have the Euros to look forward to as a Scotland fan, just perfect. Yeah. So it's been a pretty good 3 months, hasn't it?
Could be a sensational year again, really, when you think about it. We've got Scotland in the Euros qualifying, and who knows after that, and back-to-back promotions would be nice as well.
World Cup next year as well, Raymond.
It's all happening. No, I know. Yeah, I'm not going to make any predictions on the club front, but we've got momentum, we've got good signings, and we've got good potential, and to really mix it up, I would say, in that league next season, anything could happen. I'm not sure what Kilmarnock will bring to the party, so unless they, get off the ground running quickly, then I think long to be hard to come by.
Yeah, I think so. Right, let's bring it back to Euros. I'm going to get some predictions off you. I'm not going to go for Scotland. Well, apart from the Scotland game. Well, I've already got you in for a 1-0. I've gone for a 2-1 Scotland. Donners, what's your score prediction for the Scotland game?
I've got 1-0 Scotland as well.
2 1-0s and a 2-1. So 3-1 for Scotland. That's that hexed. Right, predictions. Wales, Switzerland.
Switzerland. So Switzerland are one of the top 10 countries in the world. And Wales are looking a wee bit older, and Gareth Bale can be asked. I don't know. I'd love to see Wales win it.
It's been played in Baku, I think.
Baku, yeah.
Oh, if it was Royal Troon, I'd fancy Wales, but I'll go for 2-1 Switzerland.
Switzerland. Well, I'm going to go a draw in that, because I'm going to keep these, and then we'll tweet them at the start of the week. Denmark, Finland. Welshie.
2 each.
So draw.
You fancy putting in some miles that day, do
you? I'm trying to jinx it. No, please.
Donners?
I'll go 3-0 Denmark.
Wow.
I'll go on Denmark. I'm not predicting scores like you. I just wanted the winners, but that's fine. Belgium, Russia.
Belgium.
Aye. 6-1 Belgium. I'm halfway to Glasgow at this point.
Aye.
Austria, North Macedonia.
Take a draw there.
Let's go 1-0 North Macedonia.
Oh, he's gone for North Mac. I'll go for Austria.
It could be interesting, eh?
Netherlands against Ukraine. I think it's Ukraine. Can't read my writing.
I wasn't convinced by the Dutch, but I've got to say 2-1. 2-1 Holland.
I'll take Ukraine there.
Yes, Donners, that's the spirit.
I'm with you. I wasn't convinced by the Dutch either, Welshie. I'm going to go for a draw. And then finally, England, Croatia.
Right, let's try and jinx this. 3-0 England. Sorry, Dan.
I can't pick England. I'll go for a draw, right? Can't. I like your theory there, Welshie, but I can't pick them.
I'm going to go for Croatia. I think they're a better team than they're getting given credit for. I still think they are probably still as good as they were.
I totally agree.
So I'm A, because I can't back England, and B, because Donners took my draw.
We've got a good spread of results there.
Exactly. Well, I'll have a look at them. On Monday after the Scotland game on Monday and see how we all did. Nah, probably disastrously.
What about the wider tournament? Who's the predictions there to win it?
On you go, Welshie.
Oh, I'm very close to saying it, but I'm going to be boring and say Belgium. I just think they've got to come good at one point, and this is the time.
Yeah. Donners?
I think the two class sides in the tournament are in the same group, Portugal and France. I think they look like they've got all-star teams. You'll get the players in there. I think maybe France have got that wee bit of edge because they play with 12 men because they've got Kante. And I think they owe the Portuguese after the last one. So I'm probably going to go for France.
Yeah, well, I've been saying about France now for 2 years that this is a team that's going to win the Euros and the World Cup in 2022. I really do. This French team's been brewing for a few years and they've still got a youth about them. And I would say outside ourselves that nobody's going to nail the French. I really do. I think the French are so strong. And that's why I backed them yesterday at 92. I couldn't believe the price. I genuinely couldn't believe. I expected the French to be about 2-1 because, but somebody said to me yesterday or Thursday night, they reckoned it's because it was British bookmakers. I couldn't believe England were co-favourites. The two of them were 92 at one point. I'm like, really? I mean, I know the group that the French have got, and being in with Germany and Portugal might push the price out. I don't understand
it's a decent price.
One thing, so that's probably me jumping to them. Any chance they'll probably not come out the group now after me building them up. So we'll wrap it up there. One thing for all the Jags fans watching, thanks for continuing to watch the Jags casts throughout. The figures we're getting are fantastic, and I hope that continues, and we'll continue talking our nonsense and getting some great guests on. But also, if you haven't bought a season ticket, you've got the next week or two. It's a good chance to get out. The gaffer's done everything to encourage us all to go ahead and film with the signings bringing in, and he has spoken openly about bringing more players in. So the more money.
It's Father's Day soon, so that's a wee opportunity to buy your season ticket and buy your daddy's season ticket. So that means you can spend some family time the whole season. So
very, very good point there, Donna. But yeah, obviously, the more money we get for the season tickets, the more money that's available for the manager's budget, and we'll all know what we want to happen next season. And he's certainly making great inroads in that. So if you get a chance the next week or two, obviously not Monday, the office is closed on Monday, but from Tuesday onwards it's back to normal hours. So getting that phone or take a wee wander up if it's a nice day, we wander up to Firhill, jump in a train and make a day of it in Glasgow if you can.
Like a Lego mask on.
Well, see, can I ask?
Who is Lego Dave? Anybody got an idea who Lego Dave is?
Oh.
Nah.
I've had two theories for months, but one of them I'm absolutely certain it isn't one of them, and I'm pretty certain it's not the other one. And one of them's actually based because I actually thought it was Welshie. Because I thought the build's a bit Welshie. I know it's not Brian. I thought it was Brian Henderson originally. That's blind. I really did. I thought it was Brian Henderson originally, but I don't think it's him.
No, I have no idea.
No idea.
No.
I thought it might have been like a Jack Meadows, somebody who likes to bam folk up, and thought I'll make it a wee bit more fun about it, but nah, I have no idea. But it's fantastic. What a character!
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Well, can I ask just for the record, right? Obviously, Ian McCall and Lon Shanklin have got a good connection. So, how many season tickets do we need to sell to sign Lon Shanklin? Like nothing's off the table.
Yes, he's got a cracking relationship with him. He was on the phone to him the day he didn't make the cut for the Scotland squad. So Aye, who knows? Who knows who we might bring into in the last few slots, but aye, good question and terrible answer.
So if you want Lauren Shankland for Hill next season, don't know where he's going to fit in the squad right enough with the options we've got, but if you want him in the squad next, get your season ticket, but
we'd have some bench, would we?
No. Jeez, oh.
So, thanks to everybody for watching as always. Enjoy your weekend, look after each other, stay safe, and enjoy the Scotland game on Monday, wherever you're watching it, whether it's in the house with your pals, where you can get down to a pub and watch it, or at the fan zones, or if like Welshie, you're lucky enough to be going there. Have a great time. Big thanks to Welshie and Donners for joining us again this morning, and we'll be back later on in the week with probably going to do a preview of the England game again, but I'm hoping to have a couple of special guests, so look out for news of that. In the meantime, one of Jags and one of Scotland.
Absolutely, one of Scotland.